morning, I'm Charlotte Myers.
And I'm Vance Conway. It's 8:03.
The bookstore will be closed today. Please go to the central office in the 400 hallway if you have any name tag or uniform issues.
The Spring Blood Drive is this Wednesday, March 15th. To sign up, please complete the form in your email sent out by Mr. Donner. If you have any questions, please see Mr. Donner in room 605. Thank you for helping to save lives.
There will be a meeting for all wrestlers and those interested in wrestling next year in the wrestling room at 3:15 on Wednesday, March 15th. They will discuss the spring and summer and hand out awards. Borrowed gear will be collected at the meeting. If you have questions or conflicts, please see Mr. Kuykendall as soon as possible.
As a reminder for everyone going on the trip to Iceland, there's a meeting today in room SC5 at 3:15. Next up is sports with Liam Brown and guest Mr. Paisley, tech tips, current events, and more. Take it away, Liam.
Thanks, Vance. Thanks, Charlotte. We'll start today with some news about the soccer game from last night. The game was canceled yesterday and is now rescheduled for tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Grays Lake Central. It was supposed to be here at Baker Stadium. But tonight at Baker Stadium, the men's lacrosse team will have their first game tonight here at Baker Stadium versus Hersey, and varsity is set to start at 7 o'clock. So now we'll get to some Bears news. Yesterday, the players were allowed to negotiate with teams, and the Bears made a splash quick. They started with Lakes High School graduate signing to a $19.5 million deal with $12 million guaranteed. TJ Edwards, he led the Eagles last season with 159 solo tackles and started every game for them this year. Then they dropped a hammer when they signed Tremaine Edmonds to a 4-year, $72 million contract with 50 of it being guaranteed. Edmonds was with the Bills since 2018 and is still young at 24 years of age. And he obviously came out, he was with his brother, so that's a big deal to leave the Bills for him. Then they signed former Titans offensive lineman, right guard Nate Davis, to a 3-year deal. Obviously, it's no secret the Bears' offensive line was poor last season, and Davis was ranked the 17th right guard in the NFL. So as we move on to some March Madness, the Big Ten was represented by 8 teams, including Purdue being a 1 seed. The teams that made the tourney this year include Purdue, Illinois, Northwestern, Michigan State, Indiana, Penn State, Maryland, and Iowa. The lowest seed would be Penn State. And here to talk about the Carmel March Madness is Mr. Paisley. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Paisley.
No problem.
So when is the Carmel basketball March Madness?
So our March Madness starts on April 5th after school, 2:15 in the Selvey Gym.
So how would people go about signing up for the tournament?
So students will need to fill out a roster, and I brought one just so they can see it, right? We need to return this to either myself or Mr. Rank by April 3rd, and both of our rooms are in the 800 hallway. That way students know where to find us.
Who can play in the tournament? Are there any people who can't?
So any Carmel student who did not play on a basketball team this year can play in our tournament. If you played on a high school team, boys or girls, then you can come and watch, but you can't play.
How many people can be on a team for this tournament?
We cap our roster at 6 per team.
And how will the tournament work playing-wise?
So our tournament is single elimination. Each game is 3-on-3. That's why our roster is capped at 6. They're half-court games. Scoring is by 1s and 2s. First team to 11 points is the winner, and players call their own fouls.
Thank you for coming on. Next, we have Jacqueline Kaglar with current events.
Hello, and welcome back to Philip's Tech Tip. My name is Philip. Let's get started. Today, I'm going to show you how to use some keyboard shortcuts to find text in a document or web page faster and easier. Sometimes you need to find a specific word or phrase in a long document or web page, but scrolling through the whole text can take a lot of time and effort. Luckily, there is a keyboard shortcut that can help you with that. It's called Control-F on Windows and Chromebooks, or Command-F on Mac. This shortcut opens a search box where you can type in what you're looking for. As soon as you start typing, the shortcut will highlight all the instances of the text that you're searching for in the document or web page. For example, if I type in compass here, as you can see, it highlights the word compass everywhere. Then you can press enter, which will move you to the next word, or you could click one of these 2 arrows, or press Ctrl-G or Ctrl-Shift-G. All of these are ways to go between these words. Using this keyboard shortcut can save you a lot of time, making it easier to find the information you're looking for. They are really useful when you're doing research, like I am for world history, writing a paper, or browsing the web. That is all I have for you today. If you have any ideas for what I should do next, or any questions for me, feel free to contact me at pkruglov.2025@carmelhs.org. Thank you for watching. My name is Philip Kruglov, and I will see you next time.
Good morning, I'm Jacqueline Cagar with current events. Some famous Chicago summer festivals are undergoing changes this year after the mayor's office confused many by omitting these special events from the initial summer calendar. The biggest changes are being made to the Taste of Chicago, which has been pushed back to September. The Taste of Chicago has traditionally been held around 4th of July, but it has been pushed back by the first NASCAR race in Chicago, now scheduled for July. The mayor's office initially considered moving the Taste to Navy Pier, but announced yesterday the festival would keep its home in Grant Park, but change dates. Lollapalooza will also be held in Grant Park during July. Grant Park is now booked for a grand total of 84 days during the summer. Moving to national news, 2 banks failed this past week. Silicon Valley Bank failed on Friday and Signature Bank failed on Sunday. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation stepped in and took control of both banks' assets, which were worth a grand total of about $275 billion, 175 from Silicon Valley Bank and 100 from Signature Bank. The Silicon Valley Bank failure marks the second largest bank failure in U.S. history and the largest bank failure since 2008. The FDIC has assured clients from both banks that they would receive all of their money back. In addition, the federal government is setting up an emergency lending program for banks that meet certain requirements to prevent any more banks from going under as well. President Biden has urged people to remain calm. Despite these efforts, many regional banks are seeing stock prices rapidly decrease, and big banks haven't felt very much impact either just yet. Finally, we move to international news. On Friday, Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed to reestablish diplomatic ties in a deal facilitated by China. Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed to reopen embassies in each other's countries within 2 months, recognize each other's sovereignty, and engage in a security cooperation pact. Negotiations between the 2 countries have been occurring for the past 2 years without much success. Now that China has mediated the discussion, the 2 countries came to an agreement quickly. China wants this peace deal made because more than 40% of its crude oil imports come from the Persian Gulf, exactly where Saudi Arabia and Iran are located. This deal worries the U.S., who sees the agreement as an encroachment on the U.S.'s influence in the Middle East. Relations between Saudi Arabia and the U.S. have deteriorated over the past years, while Saudi Arabia and China have become closer. That's all for current events. I'm Jacqueline Kaglar. Up next, we have an interview for choir.
Salto, back with your bi-weekly Club Spotlight interview. Today, I am joined by Mr. Bernhardt to talk about the Disciples Club and its upcoming events. Mr. Bernhardt, what is Disciples Club?
Sure. Disciples Club is just a simple way outside of theology class to have a good time with friends. We normally have food and games, but we also have just a simple time to talk about faith as well. So realistically, outside of Carmel, the most I talked about faith was at coffee shops, to be quite honest, and playing board games, so we do a mixture of that.
And when did you start the club?
We started just this fall, so it's pretty simple. Yeah, we meet every week in my room 700 on Thursdays.
What events are you having these weeks?
Okay, sure. Yeah, in Lent, we were thinking of what we would do, and for the next 2 Thursdays, we're continuing The Passion, which is, it's a movie all of us, we were talking a lot going into it. It's just so good. To be quite honest, all of us were silent leaving because it was just so, there's a lot to process.
Who can come watch it with you?
Anyone, yeah. So we ask you to fill out the form because technically it's our, but don't be intimidated by the violence. There's, as we spoke the last time, it's more than just seeing the realisticness of the movie, but there's actually seeing what Jesus and Mary and the disciples actually experienced. I think that's the deeper insight for us, realistically.
Thank you, Mr. Bernhardt.
Yeah,
Up
absolutely.
next, we have Damian Raffi with Jeanette Pizzano to talk about the choir concert.
Welcome back. I'm Damien Raffi, and I'm here with Jeanette Pisano for an interview about the choir concert tonight. So to start off, Jeanette, which choir are you in?
I'm in our show choir, which is Cadence.
So I heard that Cadence recently won second place at the Chicagoland Showcase. So could you just tell me a little bit about how much time went into making your set?
Yeah, so we've been rehearsing every Monday and Friday before school and 3 or 4 Saturdays a month since August.
So that sounds like it's a pretty big commitment. So what is it that keeps you coming back to Cadence?
I love the community and just being able to be with some of my favorite people.
Yeah, so speaking of the community, which other choirs are performing at the concert tonight?
So Advanced Choir is performing, which meets during the school day, and Parkway Singers, which meets Tuesday and Thursday before school.
And where can people come to support you tonight?
So the concert's going to be held in the auditorium tonight at 7.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. More on tonight's choir concert. Auditorium doors open at 6:30 and no tickets are required, so come and support your peers.
Summer courses and athletic programs are now available for sign-up. See your email for the most recent newsletter for more information.
Tomorrow is Latin Day. Wear a purple top or a top with Latin on it to celebrate.
We'd like to issue a correction to an earlier statement we made this morning that the Iceland meeting for all students traveling on the trip will be today. The Iceland meeting will not be today. It will be tomorrow in SC5 at 3:15 p.m. We apologize for the mistake.
That's all we have for today. I'm Charlotte Myers.
And I'm Vance Conley. Have a therapeutic Thursday, Carmel.